Welcome back to Herbal Product Technology and Regulatory Science. Last time we have seen the different regulations outside the Indian territory like US regulations and European regulations regarding the herbal products. Today we are going back to the Indian regulations, but this time we are going to focus on to the agricultural and processing regulations for herbal drugs. In this, the plant breeder rights will be of a most important. Also, we will look into the Union for Protection of New Varieties of Plants, rights granted to plant breeders, and what are the advantage and limitations of these acts. Plant breeder rights. The plant breeder rights, also known as the PBR, are a form of intellectual property rights granted to plant breeders for developing new plant varieties. As per the IPR, plants cannot be patented. Even the procedures for cultivation also cannot be patented. Hence, the breeders and the producers of these plants need to have some advantage for developing the procedure for the new varieties or maybe some of the extinct varieties of the plant. Hence, this act provides them this advantage. These rights aim to encourage innovation in agriculture by rewarding breeders for their time, effort and the investment. PBR provides legal recognition and protection to breeders against unauthorized use of their plants varieties inside and outside the territory. The concept balances the interest of breeders, farmers and society by promoting food security and sustainable agricultural procedures. Plant breeders' rights are recognized internationally and implemented through the national laws in many other countries. We will look at some of the definitions under the plant breeder rights. Plant breeder rights refer to exclusive rights to given to breeder or farmer to produce, sell and market a new plant varieties developed by them. These rights apply only to varieties that meet specific legal criteria such as novelty and distinctiveness. PBR protects the genetic material of plants, not the plant itself, its natural form. That means the plant, if it is in a wholesome form, will not be protected, but it will protect its genetic orientation so that the similar genetic new variety, if getting cultivated and produced in some other conditions and some other locations, then that breeder should get the advantage. The rights allow breeder to control the commercial use of seeds and propagation material used for such plants. PBR differs from patent as it includes certain exemptions for farmer and researcher. We will come to that later. What is the objective of plant breeder rights? It encourages the development of improved plant varieties with a higher yield and better quality. Most of the crops which are used in India are exclusively for the nutritional value, but if the crops are being cultivated for medicinal purpose, then their quality need to be maintained. For that, many of the producer and breeder do lot of experimentation on their plants. All such experimentation need to get protected so that the good quality products should come out. To provide economic incentives to plant breeders and research institute. This helps them to grow economically as well as stabilize their production by putting up the more revenue in such processes. To promote innovation and technological advancement in agricultural and horticultural segment to support national and global food security through improved crop varieties and to ensure fair sharing of benefits arising from plant breeders' activity. Let us go back into the history of PBR. The concept of plant breeders' right emerged in the mid 20th century when there was a agricultural globalization took place. Increasing private investment in plant breeding created a need for legal protection. The first PBR law were introduced in Europe during the 1960s. International cooperation led to the establishment of common principles for protection of such plants and their breeding procedures. Over time, many countries adopted PBR laws to support agricultural innovations. UPOV, that is Union for Protection of New Varieties Plants. It is one of the international framework put up by the Indian agencies. It was established in 1961 to harmonize PBR law across the various countries. UPOV provides guidelines for granting and enforcing plant breeder right outside the Indian territory. It is act as a platform between the Indian agencies and the outside Indian agencies to enforce the Plant Breeders Act. Member countries follows UPOV convention to ensure standards and protect such plant breeding. The organization plays a key role in global plant varieties, their maintenance and their processing. Criteria for protection under the PBR. A plant variety must be novel, meaning it has not been commercially exploited earlier. The already used variety cannot be come under the Act. Need to have some new genetic variation and need to be considered as a new variety by taxonomical classification. It must be distinct, clearly different from the existing known varieties. The variety should be uniform, showing consistent characteristics. It must be stable, retaining its trait after repeated propagation. Then only it will be considered as a stable uniform variety. These criteria ensures only genuine innovations receives the protection under the PBR. Plants breeder rights in India. India follows the Protection of Plant Varieties and Farmers' Right Act 2001. The law recognizes both breeders and farmers of rights under this act. It allows farmers to save and exchange their seed for the better propagation and yield. At the same time, they should have the benefit sharing in the returns. India's system is unique and farmer friendly and which is made by this act. It supports biodiversity and traditional knowledge by protecting it under this act. Few of the plants and crops are only getting cultivated in Indian territory because their propagation techniques and their cultivation techniques was preserved by such tribal and the small localized community. All this come under the act which help the production and cultivation of such plant material. Rights granted to the plant breeders. Breeders gain exclusive right to produce and reproduce such variety. They can authorize or restrict the sale and marketing of a seed which is a product of such varieties. Rights include control over support and import of the varieties. Only breeder will have the right to import such variety as well as the material requirement for propagation of such variety. Breeders may license their varieties to other for commercial use in the tenure basis, and this will be a mutual agreement between the two parties. These rights help breeder recover research and development costs which have they invested during the production of such variety. Duration of plant breeder right. PBR protection is granted for limited period. The period varies from 20 to 25 years. Generally, the duration is 25 years depending on to the plant type. Trees and vine often receive longer protection than other crops. After expiration, the variety enters the public domain where they can be cultivated by others based on the breeder's consent. This time limit balances the innovation with public access, so that after the period over, the plant variety is open to do research and can have a newer variety from it. Farmers' rights. Farmers are allowed to save, use and resow seeds in many countries. Farmers' rights protects traditional agricultural practices. For example, any such breeder have introduced its product in the form of a seed, then the selling rights given to the breeder. But once those seed was sowed by the farmer, then the product coming out of it, from that they can again collect the seed and those seed they can use for the next propagation. For such products, the breeder will not have any obligations of use of those seed. They prevent exploitation of farmers by large corporations. Some laws allows farmer to exchange seeds locally. This ensures equity between breeder and farming communities. Researchers' rights. Researchers can use protected varieties for experimentation. They can use this variety even during the period of a PBR grant. This exemption supports scientific research and innovation. It may require the authorization from breeder depend on to the plant variety. New varieties can be developed using existing protected ones. It prevents monopolization of genetic resources and also increase their spreadability as well as their longevity. Researchers' rights promote continuous agricultural development. That is the main purpose behind developing this regulation. How to do the registration under the PBR? A breeder must submit an application to the authority. The authorities are the government bodies and they will have their local offices in different regions. The variety undergoes testing for distinctiveness, uniformity and stability criteria. Based on these three criteria, the variety will be get assessed and then after that it will get registered. This registration nowadays also happens through the electronic interfaces like web portals. Detailed documentation of the variety is required while registering your variety. In that, the morphological and other details of the variety are essential. A botanical survey of such variety is a part of this details. Successful applications are entered into the official register. This register is maintained by the local offices and also published regularly on the web portal for getting in a public domain, so that people will understand the newer varieties which are already into the register. Registration provides legal proof for ownership of such varieties. Advantages of plant breeders' right: encourages innovation in plant breeding, improves crop productivity and quality, that will help the breeder and farmer to gain a more profit, attracts private investment in the agricultural sector and it also give a boost for the further innovation, supports sustainable farming practices which will be have the source for major crops, and enhances food security and rural development. What are the limitations under the PBR? The small farmers may face restrictions on seed use as they have very minimum access for the such facilities. High cost of registration can discourage small breeders. That will impact on the innovation happening on a smaller scales. Corporate control over seeds is a concern. The example of that is a BT crop. We will talk about it later. Biodiversity may be threatened if misused and requires strong legal enforcement mechanism to control entire act, and that is require a machinery behind it, which also need a manpower. So, we have seen what are the major drawbacks regarding the PBR. This is not the only limitations, but which are the highlighted limitations about the PBR. In the coming lecture, we will see the other agricultural act which need to be understood to get the in deep knowledge about the propagation of herbals. Thank you.